And all banned away. This time around, though, Yuekai getting his hands back on the Ryze. I love this. The Ryze is such a powerful pick, and exactly what they want to do with that Ryze is exactly how they always play.
And now it gives the opportunity to actually like set up for Zika properly in that top side. Or to try and play down towards this bot lane, but with the Tahm Kench already locked in, it feels like there's a much more defensive play coming in for LGD on the bot side. The Aphelios locked up here. Maybe we see something like the Thresh coming in for Lucas on that bot lane, or something along the lines of the Rakan as well. I really like Rakan into things like the Tahm Kench, just because you kind of get a 2-for-1 deal, right? The quickness clocks up the Tahm Kench, and you still end up being able to CC both of them, so you can still kill the Jinx before the Tahm Kench is able to kind of help her out in time. With the jungle not locked in here, though, IG going to make sure that Shun has his pick of the litter. So going to go towards that Xin Zhao first. So Shadow probably going to fall back to something like the Viego or else that Volibear.
Yeah, and we'll see now what they want to go for here. LGD can pick up their jungler, or maybe even their mid laner if they decide to go on either side. But no, it's going to be the mid lane to the last. They know they're going up against the Ryze. They're not too unhappy with what they're able to get. And they feel like getting Shadow onto that Lee Sin feels a little bit better. Something that he was well known for in his time in LEC.
Yeah, the only problem that I have with the Lee Sin is that, again, you're kind of lacking in engage tools. So I'm kind of curious to see what the rest of LGD's composition is going to round out with. IG, I feel like banning away those mid lane picks so you get the good matchup for the Ryze is probably where they're going to go. Things like the Orianna, these kind of things. Or maybe they try and ban away some more of those, well, as we said, like engage-focused top laners, but also top lane champions that Zika could do relatively well with.
Yeah, we'll see now the Yuumi being banned away, recognizing that they might try and combo that up, which does a lot to try and mitigate what the Tahm Kench does for the Jinx in that laning phase. LeBlanc going to be banned here by IG, and honestly, they could just ban the Orianna as well. Give Yuekai as decent a matchup as they possibly can, as they wait to see now what Zika will be going into Fearness.
Yeah, I imagine the Fearness is going to keep that red side ban from, or sorry, red side pick for himself this time, especially since again you already know what the Ryze is, and I'm not in the mood for any more Veigar, so we'll have to see what the plan is here. I do agree with you. I think Orianna the best ban here for IG. Especially when you're looking towards the potential for like late game fights. It would just set up LGD so incredibly well. And not a huge amount of dive potential on IG side at the moment, so the threat onto a backline for like a Jinx and an Orianna isn't really there. So it would just open up Fearness too easy to go for something like a Scion or the Malphite that's actually banned away and just try and play for team fights instead.
See what they want to go for. They're going for the Galio. Much better. They must be listening to your comms there, Dagda. They recognize the errors of their ways, and they're going to change them very, very quickly.
So, I like the Galio in game one because you already had those engage tools. I feel like for LGD right now, they don't really have that setup because it's not linked with the Hecarim like we saw in game one. So now you're kind of going, okay, well, again, Fearness, maybe they go for a Camille in this top side, and that's what they're eyeing up, going, look, if we can get this Camille Galio combo, that would be our engage tool, but we'll have to see exactly. IG, though, we said that, I already talked about the Rakan. I really like it into the Tahm Kench, and that's going to be picked up there for Lucas, and we'll have to see now what we're going to get for Zika in this top lane. Okay, not as big a fan of this. We've seen it before. Poppy does really well into this if Fearness wants to take that into the top side. And yeah, Zika's shown again, like we saw this before where he's perfectly happy to take that blind into the top side. We'll have to see what Fearness wants to try and answer.
Yeah, hovering between a couple of different options. Wouldn't really expect the Kled. It would be a very strange way of going into it. I feel like the tryndamere kind of does well into what the Kled is able to do against you in terms of diving you underneath the tower. We'll see now what they want to go for. LG just kind of thinking about it and maybe making a couple of changes. And yeah, you can even see it there. Yeah, let's just go for it. Let's get that Camille locked and loaded here for Fearness. So going toe-to-toe here, it's going to be very curious to see now how this matchup goes.
Yeah, I mean, for IG, I feel like, at least in the early stages, Zika should be able to do reasonably well there against the Camille. A little bit harder for the Camille to be chased down by the tryndamere, so can do reasonably okay. And then I believe late game, you have enough burst. I could be wrong with this, but I believe late game you have enough burst in the Camille that the Undying Rage kind of comes out. You just kind of outpace the tryndamere as he chases you down, and then you can turn and finish him off as soon as the Undying Rage is there. You just end up, like, with the Divine Sunder and Tiamat with Sterix, you end up too tanky for tryndamere to just burst you down, like, I believe, but we'll have to see if IG, like, for them, this is very much about getting ahead in the early stages, like trying to use Ryze's push, play up towards tryndamere top side, and then opt in towards the 1-3-1 and power through the stronger mid game that you have over your counter.
Well, the teams are locked and loaded. The players are ready to go as we are about to jump onto the Rift for Game 3 of this best of 3. Win here for LGD will give them at least a little bit of respite, put them back up to within a chance, and I say only a chance, of them even thinking about playoffs. On either side of it, though, of course, IG wanting to get up with that the teams on 5 wins, put them right on the cusp of a top 10 finish. Could do or die, could all end here for both these teams. This could be a pivotal matchup when we look at back in the history books of where these teams went wrong, and right now, both these teams will be desperate to try and make this one work out for them. I will say, as we look into this one, I do always love the Demacian kind of, Venn diagram of death, as you do get themselves the Camille and the Galio. But we'll have to wait and see. This Ryze can be oh so powerful for IG if they can make it work for them.
And that's where I'm going to be putting my focus here for Yuekai, getting pushed in mid, moving towards those sides. One of the beautiful things about Ryze in the early stages is you can actually just walk from lane. You don't need to realm warp in a lot of situations. So having that push, be curious to see what the decision here is for Yuekai. If he can actually have that big push in mid and then easily look to roam up towards this top side early and bully Fearness, who is flashless, so always the opportunity to look for a level 3, level 4 dive.
We are on to the Rift. Crowds in Hangzhou Stadium. Feels good to have it all back as Fearness finds Zika. Doesn't want to go too far onto that one there, and nothing else untoward. Both teams just happy to spread themselves out, make sure that they're happy enough with where things are going. Yuekai will be spotted out on this ward as he goes to spot his wards. Already we're seeing Zika and Fearness kind of going toe-to-toe, and I don't know if you noticed, but just a second ago, if you look beyond the top lane, you can see the first dragon and where it's flapping its wings just behind the rift. He flies in himself all the way around.
I was told you could tell what the first dragon was off of that, but it's actually not true. Or maybe
no,
it's the soul was off of that.
It's just a generic dragon as such, sadly. But it's still cool. I have messed around with the spectator client a bit. Sadly, he doesn't fly all the time. He kind of just has like slight animations and then disappears and reappears in reality. So, small little things like that keep me interested in the game.
Just remembering remembering your old times as an observer in the LEC, I see, yeah.
That's true. I got taught by the best observers in the game, the LEC observers, in my humble opinion. And speaking of the best in the game...
Is it really humble if you're doing a self-brag because you were part of LEC observing?
Humble brag. Humble brag. You gotta stick with it, is the thing of sticking with it. JinJiao will get himself stuck right on top of this bot lane. Again, the Tahm, Kench, and the Jinx will have pretty decent level 1, and they've had the level 2 advance as well. But Eric making an unfavorable trade as he did aggro the minions as well. But enough reminiscing about my life as an LEC observer. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about where you want to be seeing these junglers. Yeah, I was going to say, as they're going to be able to try and maybe make something happen here. Shadow already anticipating this and has dropped down a ward, but the information is in favor of LGD.
IG, though, kind of feeling like something's a bit amiss. Shun will find Shadow.
Yeah, they will get it. This might go down in favor of Shun as he gets the big Krug, as we are going to see there. It's a hook shot, wall shot over the top. The Ignite goes down on the Zika, who does not have invulnerability just yet. The Sonic Wave will not land, and everyone goes back, and at the end of it all, it is just a trade of summoners in favor of LGD.
Look at the wave that was missed by Fearness, though. Because he tried to help out on that, you end up losing out a substantial amount when it comes towards the CS. And the Ignite burn for the flash still means that you end up trading relatively even. I mean, yes, you got the ghost out of Zika as well, but all said and done, I mean, it's not the end of the world for IG. You still end up with the advantage for Zika, which is what you really were playing for in that top side.
Now, it was a good little shadow by Shadow to make sure that nothing untoward was happening, because that could have been a very difficult situation here for Fearness, running the Ignite and the teleport instead of a flash. Definitely becomes a lot harder for him to be able to deal with this tryndamere the later the game goes on. He will have to try and just deal with the endless amounts of pressure that will be coming on top of him. JinJiao just trying to make sure the IG bot lane are being kept honest. Yuekai back into the mid lane after TPing over. He has got himself his tier stacking nicely here, and Jay went back as well to pick up his boots, so he has the Predator. So now we're going to start to wait and see where both these teams start to get their level 6s, and that's when this game starts to get really interesting.
So already, I know it's just going to be a small point here, but LGD are completely controlling this bot side of the map. Eric already got the reset off, picked up his cull. They had a small freeze being in play as well, with JinJiao being able to stop Wink and Lucas from fully crashing this wave. So there's actually a small push, I believe, still about to happen onto this bottom side. But Yuekai in mid.
A bit of damage down. Jay's still pretty safe at this early stage to be able to get himself out with the heroic chart or the heroic punch. Or the justice punch, that's what it is. He'll back himself away. We'll have a Hex Dragon first to spawn. Shadow now trying to maybe make something work for him in the mid lane as he gets himself over the wall, and putting himself behind enemy lines could be the option here for the side of LGD.
Looks like that's going to be it.
Yeah, the flash comes in. The taunt is long enough, though. They're going to get the knock up, and that's a fantastic flash re-engage. That was actually so clutch from Lucas. Gets himself right in front of Shadow, soaks up the Sonic Wave, keeps Yuekai alive.
Really good play from Lucas, and just nice roam timing, right? We are saying, hey, look, you've got this small push in the bot side for Eric. So Lucas and Wink eventually managed to get the crash. They reset, which means Lucas can come in, and just really nice timing there, getting on towards LGD. Now IG establishing vision control on top side, which means that Fearness is going to have to give up this massive wave. And again, this tryndamere getting so much when it comes to this 1v1.
Yeah, and they're going to get 3 people up here. They will have the taunt available, but the double knockup is there. Jay, no grand entrance just yet, or heroic entrance, as I say, and they are going to be able to take out Yuekai. He goes a little bit too close to the sun. Big old wave being put up against this tower. LGD will eventually get it over to Fearness as the bot laners decide to play some PvP themselves and saying, all right, we're not done with just being, we're not satisfied with just taking on some minions, and then they realize their AD carries and they're not very strong yet, so they have to back away and take it to minions.
IG just going over extended in that top side. You see that Shadow and JinJiao had gone for the recess themselves and were making their way up, so IG have to back away, which is why you're kind of questioning, like, oh, well, it's 4v2, why aren't you going? But they actually don't decide to go for it, and here, just going to get a replay on this mid lane play. Really good stuff from Lucas. Flash forward, you see there, with that grand entrance, able to just tank up the Sonic Wave coming through from Shadow. Just perfect timing from the IG support.
Really well done there from IG, but unfortunately for IG fans, they did lose out a kill on the top side, so both mid laners basically losing out a little bit in terms of that. They tried to go a bit aggressive with the Realm Morph, and it wasn't to be. Now you have an opportunity here as LGD. You have the heroic entrance available to Jay on this Galio. You can look to be a bit more aggressive, especially with that Hextech ultimatum on that top side. So for IG, it is all about kind of keeping tabs on where this mid laner is going to be going and making sure you're not just losing out on a trade straight up. And speaking of trades, they're going to jump on the JinJiao, who's not going to be taken out or even CC'd up. They did get the traps, though, out of Eric. And with both junglers now hovering towards this bot side, I feel like Dragon might be on the cards, Dagda.
Yeah, the only issue, though, is that you don't really have control over it as LGD. You've got pushing mid, pushing bot, so Shadow can't really help, so he's just going to back away. And again, like, you can see Yuekai trying to keep his sides in check, constantly shoving and just dipping into the fog of war, making it really hard for LGD to know if they're safe to approach these lanes. Already, you can see Jay leaving mid. He's trying to match the lanes that Yuekai is going for.
Match the lanes is now the IG bot lane does have a little bit of extra control. Level 6 so has been hit by Eric as well as Wink, so both these AD carries feeling pretty powerful. I will say in the 1v1, or at least in a small skirmish at a 2v2, you would favor the Aphelios ult depending on which augment it does have. Herald has been aggroed, but it's not going to be taken here, just making sure they're not doing it on the side of IG. And everyone just kind of backs themselves away. I will say there is still an advantage for IG. They have a 1,000 gold lead. They're about nearly 20 CS up in the top side. Probably going to be mitigated down to about 15 in a moment. They should be able to take this Rift Herald for free. There also shouldn't be a response of a Dragon here for LGD, as Shadow is in that top side.
Yeah, it looks like Shadow might just try and make a play mid, though. See if he can try and answer. But Lucas again reading this play.
Yep, he's already here, and now they know he's here, so this is already starting to become a very dangerous setup here for the side of LGD. Shadow going to back away from it, but can he get to this Dragon in time? That's the real question. The AD carries pushing themselves up, as Eric did have the support of his support, whereas Wink did not. Should be able to get themselves at least a plate, back themselves away. So not to be outdone just yet, but Shadow is still in the area, and he's wasting a lot of time, not really gaining a lot for what he's doing.
Yeah, I think Shadow's trying to read that Shun is going topside, so it's like, okay, cool, let's try and make a play onto the bottom side. Either that'll be the Dragon, or a potential dive onto the bot lane tier 1, but not going to go for it. Shun now isn't actually trying to commit to this top side like I thought he would, especially as tryndamere starting to get that push out, pop down the Rift Tower, like get more gold for the tryndamere, but it looks like the call might actually be to try and control Jay a little bit. see if you can shove out this mid wave, try and get some damage onto this mid tier 1, and maybe if you can take it, you can actually look to like push the wave in further, deny Jay access to the map. But with only a small chunk of damage done to the mid lane turret, I'd be surprised if that actually ends up working out.
Zika on this tryndamere, he's going to be able to just basically keep Fearness at arm's length at all times. Fearness has to respect the all-in potential and the chase down available to him with the Ghost. So the Ignite will be acting as a little bit of a deterrent, as we can now see Jay using that Justice Punch to keep himself safe. Could have been knocked up, maybe even the quickness come out, but IG still tempered on that aggression. Bot laners basically being left on their own. This has been about the supports roaming around the map, trying to facilitate their junglers and the mid laners to make plays.
And if that is the case, then, I mean, the solo laners for IG are in a good spot. Jay hasn't been able to answer for some of the plays that we've seen early from IG, but, and it's not even just the fact that, like, there's no kills for IG, it's more so, you know, they've created this 2k gold lead by playing towards Zika and denying CS. Wink.
Going to be able to get caught out. Actually, they never say that. He gets devoured down on top of the traps as well. He's by himself, and he is dead. Flash was burnt by Lucas. I feel like you kind of just needed to accept the fate there, buddy. He was dead to rights. There was nothing you could have done. And again, we're seeing in this series, Wink be a massive sore spot for the side of IG.
Yeah, just overextending, giving across kills. And that wave was pushing into him as well. It wasn't like he really needed to be in that spot. And JinJiao, time and time again, catching him out with the TK. Now IG trying to move up to top side. But, I mean, they solo one bot. You don't have to actually, like, worry too much as LGD because you can put resources top.
And you can put yourself on Hexacle Ultimatum. The Venn diagram of death comes in. The flash from Shun is absolutely perfect, but he will sacrifice his top laner in exchange. He will not be able to get out of here on time or alive as Yuekai now finds himself overextended as he tries to get himself over the wall. He flashes, but there's going to be two very angry people coming back on top of it, and Jay cleans it up. 3 kills, and LGD are firmly in control.
This is the problem that IG had. Wink solo dies bot. There was no extra resources dedicated by LGD to that bot lane play, especially when you saw Lucas flash in with the quickness to see if he could try and get the Battle Dance shield onto Wink. So when this happens, LGD are like, cool, we can just rotate up towards top, keep ourselves safe. We've got this Galio who's able to join the party first. You can see you're trying to keep him at bay as Yuekai, but Galio actually flashed over the wall into Red Pit. You can just see it on the minimap, so then he could ult away without Yuekai being able to deny the ulti in. So LGD managing to pick up the fight just off of, well, one, a really smart play from Jay, and the positioning that they had on the map.
Yeah, and this is smart and, you know, clean from LGD. They're just recognizing where their strengths are, and I honestly feel like having this Galio Camille combination, it's a very tried and tested top side of the map that can just mitigate a lot of the overloading pressure you kind of want to get as an IG member. You know, you want to try and stop this Ryze from getting on top of people. You want to try and stop this tryndamere from just being able to 100-0 people, and now top side again, we're seeing a 3v3. It's a bit of a 2v2 versus a 1v1, as we can see now both sides trying to make this one work. Shun gets jumped on by the Sonic Wave. The Rift Herald will go in, as we can see the Jinx finally getting that ult off. No one will go down. The Rift Herald does go over in favor of IG. That's going to be all she wrote in this top side.
Yeah, timing there on ults just wasn't quite with us. Zika has his ult up now, but didn't have enough to try and chase Fearness under the tower. No Hextech ultimatum either to try and lock people up for Jay, so will just be the gold going in favor of IG as LGD back away.
LGD back away. They did lose the Super Mega Jet Rocket in that exchange as well. It almost turned that fight 100% on its head. Who knows, could have maybe even impacted the bot lane as well with the Get Excited. But it was not to be, as the Gale Force is finally finished up here by Wink, as we can see a replay in the picture-in-picture. And you can see just how much this Camille is not really able to do against this tryndamere. Despite the tryndamere kind of coming out with a lot less HP, when you get those stacks of crits, when you're able to get that Fury bar going for yourself, it becomes very difficult to judge where that damage is going to come in from.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes back to the early pressure that was given towards Zika. Like, tryndamere is really strong in this mid-game point, and Fearness just isn't able to keep pace. And now, for Zika, he has control of his top side. Turret plates have gone down, so you imagine he'll get this top lane turret, as Fearness shouldn't be able to hold on against them, but we'll have to see, especially as like that tower can be taken incredibly quick. Zika though opting instead to start moving down towards the dragon, which is just about to spawn in 10 seconds. And I think it's a good idea to try and bring Zika into the equation for IG. Bot hasn't won out at all on the bottom side of the map, so you're not really in pressure control here, and Yuekai has shoved in mid, so maybe IG can just look to push from mid into this dragon area.
We'll say it is pretty solid items for everyone across the board. You do have the Divine Sunray here for Fearness, so he's able to kind of sustain a lot more against Zika, who's yet to go back and finish up what I imagine will be his Gale Force. And that means that bot lane pressure goes over in favor of LGD, and this is just IG kind of fumbling a little bit here. They're not really able to control this bot lane from seeping out. They're hemorrhaging resources right now. They need to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, and I think it's just a smart play from LGD. Burn the... Oh, hang on, Yuekai.
Yuekai in a lot of trouble. He does get Dragon Rage back, but no real engage after that point. You've already used all your CC, and now you don't have the Dragon's Rage available to you for this potential Dragon fight. So Shadow going to have to be very, very quick or taking this one. They do have the Kraken Slayer on the Jinx as the Dragon has been started. Finally, we will see IG maybe look to try and make this one work, but the Dragon's already been taken, and now Shun's in a little bit of a bad spot. He'll go in with the Crescent Guard, but the Galio ultimate going to be used answered. Moonlight Vigil completely whiffs off of everybody as the the Tahm Kench is able to devour the Jinx and keep her nice and safe. She gets excited, gets one, gets two, maybe looking for a little bit more. The Tahm Kench finally falls. Aphelios is down. Zika looking for it though and finally finds his mark. They will eventually trade this one back as Shadow does not land himself the Sonic Wave. It's a 3-for-4 trade in favor of IG. They don't get the Dragon, but they get the hell of a lot of gold.
Everything was used to go forward by LGD, which meant that when Zika wormed his way into the backline, there was nobody to keep LGD safe. But I was about to say, this is actually a pretty smart play from LGD. They have control over bot side, they move up into river, and they get the dragon. They just needed to not take the fight after, back away, because as you can see here, you got the Galio ult being used forward. JinJiao had already used the Devour, and you get Fearness using this ult as well onto Wink to try and keep him safe. So Zika just gets shoved directly into the backline. Shadow, as we said already, had no ulti to try and keep Eric safe, and Zika's able to pick off two. Now we're going again.
Oh, JinJiao, he has flash. He's going to have to try and get himself out there, but there's Shadow using his own there, and there's a 3-man taunt. This is perfect for LGD. Eric's getting excited as he jumps straight onto Yuekai and gets himself another reset. IG thought they found themselves a fight, but LGD said not today.
Shadow take a bow. That flash kick onto Yuekai was beautiful. Gets the knock up onto the members of IG and also puts Yuekai in perfectly for Jay to get that taunt. And now LGD coming alive in game number 3.
Coming alive and really leaning into the series. They got themselves a 2,000 gold lead. They are going to have to use their TP in the bot side to stop some Zika from split pushing it out there. But this is a massive, massive move now for LGD. They'll get the Rift Herald. They've already got themselves 2 dragons. They have the gold lead. And you pick a Tryndamere because you feel like you can take people in the side lane. But right now, I don't feel like Zika has the confidence, rightly so, to be able to try and push this far forward. He has to be so careful, but he feels like right now he should have the pressure because he has got himself the resets on his side, but Jay will be able to taunt him up and get him underneath the tower.
Yeah, still though, Wave's still here, so Zika can keep going. Sidesteps away, now looking for the kill with Shun here.
Yeah. Oh! Wait! What?
Where was the ult?
Where's the ult?
Zika.
I thought Zika had it! Zika! What happened? Oh! What was going on? He just didn't press his R button.
I don't know what happened. I mean, as you say, just didn't quite get it, and now I mean, individual errors from IG are really starting to cost them. I mean, I was going to say, look, Zika, I can't really blame him for what he's done so far in this game. But
blame him for that.
This wasn't great. Like, I'm actually fine with him going back in underneath the tower. As you say, like, you should have killed him here. Maybe you trade 1 for 1, but you're still all well and good. The kill onto Tryndamere would have done far more, but yeah, it just doesn't hit the ulti.
Felt maybe he had enough damage to do it without it, but even then you're underneath the tower. It feels like it was just straight up a mistake there from Zika, and not what you want to be doing. If he was able to get that kill, to get that tower, it's a little bit of extra gold, but now they're in a much worse position. He does have his ultimate now as 4 people find themselves on the bot side as alongside Shelly, so it might as well be 5. As we can see, there's the Hextech ultimatum coming in. They will get the knock up as well. As Zika finally pops out his own ultimate, Eric is going to try and keep himself safe, but he should be fine within the belly of the catfish. And that's going to be a tier 1 for a tier 2 trade, and it ends up being a little bit more in favor of LGD. And they're still going. Honestly, Shelly will get another bop onto this inhibitor. No one's reset yet. They could get a Nexus. They could actually end the game. It's not even a joke. They could actually end the game right here. You have a Lee Sin and a Camille. They have to commit TPs. This was a disaster from IG, and they're still going to go for it. Shelly is just about taken out. They get oh so much. LGD might pay for it though, just a little bit. The Moonlight Vigil's doing a lot of damage. As here goes Shun. They have got the realm up, but is it going to be deep enough to try and catch out Eric? The answer is no, as he keeps himself nice and safe. He does have the Mega Deck Rocket to try and just kite away. IG, they get some kills back, but their base is in tatters.
Yeah, completely blowing up that bot side of the map there for LGD, but you still have to be very careful. Baron is about to spawn just now, and
Wait.
oh god. Oh Jesus. Oh.
Are you glad to be back? Are you happy with the level of gameplay, Dagda?
You know what? I
LEC
am glad to
treat
be
you
back.
well?
'Cause you know what? I appreciate teams like Weibo, B5, EDG, BLG, LNG, RNG, Top Esports, JDG, Rare Atom, OMG. And then it kind of gets a little bit shaky.
It does get a little shaky. And speaking of shaky, we're going to shake all the way to Fearness, getting himself his hook shot, wall shot out. IG tried to go for a little cheeky Baron play. I like the idea from IG. They have to deal with bot lane, though. That will take a Nexus turret.
I mean, yeah, there's literally just one turret left, so you need someone pretty much on base defense at all times. But now it just opens up LGD to both take Dragon, start playing towards the Baron as well. And the beauty of this all is that you've only got one TP on IG, and that's on Yuekai. Yuekai doesn't do as well against Fearness as this Tryndamere does. So if Zika ends up on the bottom side and LGD spot them, they just start up Baron, look for the team fight, the guaranteed engage nearly with the Fearness J combo, and you can just win the fight that way. IG have completely snookered themselves.
Big word. Don't know what snooker means. Look I was like, I could attempt to like, you know, actually just say what it means, but I don't think I'm gonna like actually say it justice. It is a snooker term, but what was it? I think it means like you're in a very difficult position, like not an obvious route of victory. I think is
essentially
like
you have managed to set up the snooker table so you can't get any of the balls that you want to hit. So you have to take a penalty.
there's not an obvious route. You have to go through some like, you know, geometry and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think IG are very much in a position where they have to go for a fight, and that's not really what you want to be doing here against LGD's composition. They have a Galio, Tahm, Kench, so much safety for Eric on this Jinx, and yeah, they just start up the Baron.
Yuekai's bot. The second he shows on bot, they know he has no TP. They take the fight. Jay is hiding. The only difference here is that Fearness isn't quite in position yet, so they have to wait. But as the next minion lane wave conga lines in, they can always look to push mid, fall back to Baron, look for picks in jungle. You need to cover too many places as IG, and it's given LGD all the control they need.
All the control, I will say.
Oh, God.
Well, you know what they say, betrayal very rarely comes from an enemy. It's very much not a situation for Zika. He will get himself out with a flash forward from Shadow, secures that kill, and now the rest of IG need to run away. As I say that, Shun goes in, Crescent Guard separates everyone, the Moonlight Vigil is massive. Eric is dead. They had to devour, but the Tahm Kench couldn't get it, and now, where's your damage, LGD? Oh, it was looking so good, and they're now going to find themselves in such an impossible situation. Shadow does not have himself the safeguard just yet, and he will get taken down. Thank you for the leash on the Baron. This game is silly, but after I say that, LGD are doing the double teleport. You need a reset. They're going for the end, Dagda.
What is going on? I put my head in my hands as LGD. I thought they'd won the fight, and I look back up, IG win, and now LGD, they can't quite do it. But the Baron could still be there. Very late reset from Wink. Not sure what he was up to, but not able to finish off the Nexus turret. God, what is going on in this game?
And as much as that looked like a bit of a meme from LGD, that was the only play they had to not lose the Baron. As we can see, Zika betraying himself. You know, the biggest enemy is myself in this particular situation. Puts himself in a bad spot, and LGD just, they overcommit to try and kill the Tryndamere.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow going forward, and then at this stage you just fall back towards the Baron, but Shun, great play here. Using the fact that he had the Audacious Charge onto Shadow, so none of the other champions in that area are challenged. So he's able to get the Crescent Guard that knocks a bunch of folks back into IG, and that's where that play comes from. So Shun stepping up big here for IG. Now, though, IG become a lot easier to actually control the map for the next few minutes. Yuekai has his TP up. He can shove out bot. The inhibitors respawned, they've got the wave pushed. So that kind of snooker that LGD just said had found themselves in, may no longer be an issue.
That's the big thing, like you mentioned, the fact that the teleport's open. Also, no more super minions in bot side, so that constant pressure isn't going to be available here for LGD as they try and just get some vision. But important here for IG, they have the Scuttle Crab. They are the ones that have a little bit of extra vision here, and that's going to force LGD to back themselves away. You need to be so careful here, Shadow. You do not have flash. If you get caught, you could just die. Where are you going? Yes, back that way is where you should be going, and now the Predator being popped, LGD, they're starting to look a little shaky. This is starting to get a bit weird here from the side of LGD.
And this was the problem that we had with LGD. Their mid-game decision-making, their team fighting not being set up correctly, and we're seeing it once more. Now IG trying to see if they can land the poke. You can see they've kind of given up on Zika in the side lane. They know that they need to stay grouped, and if LGD don't play these team fights perfectly, it's easy for Wink to take over. It's easy for Zika to take over, and that's not even mentioning Yuekai.
Yeah, they are going to get a lot of damage down here onto Jay and onto Fearness. Your kind of front line taking a little bit of damage. You see now Shadow back themselves away. There's going to be the Realm Warp, but no one shall take it. A whisper on the wind of what could have been. And now IG reset themselves out. It is only a Cloud Soul, so I don't think LGD are going to be really caring about IG picking that one up for themselves. And this game is starting to get a little bit funky. It's no longer LGD in control. If anything, they're losing control as we got ourselves an even state in terms of gold.
LGD need to just forego this dragon and get someone up to that top side. Push it out. Make sure that you're able to actually start creating more pressure points on the map for IG, because IG... Maybe get onto Jay here.
IG, though, might have been caught out. Shun gets kicked in right on top of Wink. They use the Galio ultimate to stop the Rakan. And now the Moonlight Vigilance come out. You can see Jay just keep away. JinJiao goes in. Shun has been taken out. It's 2 kills to none. The Hextech ultimatum onto Wink as the Camille tries to do its very, very best. Eric is being jumped on by Zika, but Zika shall not survive. And eventually LGD will take themselves the ace. Beautiful setup there from the side of LGD. IG just walking straight away into all the CC and they die.
And now you've got the minion wave set up. They can march these through the mid lane. Only the one tower remains on that Nexus, and it ain't looking too healthy either. So LGD with that may have just won the game. 10 seconds on Shun, 15 on Wink. LGD trying to end this series.
I like this from Luke, because he knows he has to try and do something onto the minions. It's a desperate, feeble attempt, because at the end of it all, LGD will get themselves the win. They'll put themselves onto 3 wins and 7 losses with 6 games to play. They were desperate for that. They got it done, and in a home arena full of a crowd as well.
And for IG, that is heartbreak. When they had started to get everything going in their favor, when it started to feel like IG kind of